Hello and welcome to the return of Loose Pool, the official podcast from Matchroom Pool. We'll be taking a look back today on the 2021 Mosconi Cup with our two captains, Alex Lely and Jeremy Jones of Europe and the USA respectively. And of course, my co-host from now until the end of the year, hopefully forever, Matchroom Multisport Managing Director, Emily Frazer. I'll start with you, Emily. How are you feeling? You all right?
Yeah, I've got COVID, so...
Oh.
I know it's a nightmare, but I think the worst is over. I feel sorry for the guys in the team because I've literally got it set up at home here. I've got my computer. I can get so much work done. I've got the screen on the TV. So it's just relentless, but I guess some time to sort of rest up. And my Christmas Day will be Boxing Day. So I'll be with my family then. But I mean, it's just everywhere at the moment. And healthy, that's all that sort of that you can look at, really.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Alex, I was with Michael van Gerwen the other night. Holland are back in a lockdown, aren't they? How are you getting on?
Same thing. I'm healthy but positive, so I'm in the attic, staying away from my family. Before Mosconi, I was isolating 10 days, and now I'm doing the same thing again. But you know, it'll be better come a couple of days.
JJ, any good news from you? Are you fitting well?
No, I feel great. Very unfortunate to hear. I didn't have any clue about Emily and Alex, so I hope y'all get along easily. But yeah, we're doing good here. We got a new puppy, so Mama's been wanting a little puppy for a long time, so now we added on to our dog list. But yeah, so we're doing good here.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Look, do you know, JJ, look, I'll start with you because obviously you had a long flight back. You've had time to assess what was a very exciting week and plenty of ups and downs for yourself. How do you look at it now?
Well, I look at it as a great Mosconi Cup. It's never as good as winning, of course, but it's a lot of fun. I really got to feel the guys a lot more than last year. You know, last year we lost, of course, but we just never got that feeling of that fight. So I think more than anything, I appreciate the youngsters, Tyler and Chris, really laying it out there on the line. And honestly, even more so, I kind of feel like they grew so much in those 4 or 5 days because it wasn't always pretty. You know, it wasn't always great, and they kept fighting.
Alex, there was plenty of celebrations at the end, and you know, after day 3, Europe really stretched ahead and were very, very impressive. Obviously, stuck up in the attic. Have you had time to think about what was a very memorable week for you guys?
Yeah, definitely, and of course satisfied with the end result. But then again, also many things that now I feel we could have done better. So there's good, there's bad, but mainly there's the satisfaction of doing the whole process preparation and then the cup itself with the team, with Carl, with myself, the unity and getting it done in the end. Yeah, satisfaction.
Yeah, satisfaction indeed. And people are already talking about 2022 and more on that in the later part of our special podcast. Emily, I'll come to you because you were inundated with questions. I tell you what, Emily, I'm going to give you, a real credit here. You just answer them so much, and you get people even on your Facebook, your personal Facebook, people asking you such deep questions about pool and the tournament and structure of Matchroom Pool in general. Obviously, the big talking point was Earl Strickland's withdrawal due to the contact tracing, and obviously, I'm glad you're on here because you need to reiterate it. There's nothing anyone could have done.
No, of course not. And let me get it clear. There was not one single person, probably I was on par with Jeremy, that wanted Earl to be in the Mosconi Cup. It was, as soon as he arrived in the UK, you could just feel like a different tension in the air. He's an absolute genius. He's a legend in the sport, brings so much experience to the table, and you could see the different energy he was bringing, and it was really exciting. And I was just so excited to see how he come out and performed. I was hoping that Earl was going to come out, win his matches, and be the curveball for Team Europe. That's what I was obviously hoping. And the day that we got that track and trace through, it was just, I couldn't even believe it. You know, my heart absolutely sunk, because first of all, you just think, right, okay, what do we do? But, you know, there's government guidance in place that we have to follow. We've been running these events during the pandemic, you know, so many of them, and across the Matchroom umbrella, there's so many sports, not even in the multi-sport department. We have to think of all of our other partners. We're running these events behind closed doors with spectators. You know, there's so many risk assessments you have to write, and there's so many different rules and regulations. It was just like a minefield, and, you know, we didn't want to step the foot wrong, sort of thing. And we had 24 hours basically to try and make it work. And unfortunately, you know, I tried everything. I can't even tell you, I tried absolutely everything. And it got to the point where I had to make a decision. And with 2 days to the event, we felt that there was no point in bringing anyone else in. Bringing someone on an 8-hour flight, you're taking them out of training that lead up until the Mosconi Cup. And I personally felt getting JJ in the ring and getting him to start practicing whilst we try to get Earl to play in the tournament, or, you know, try and remedy the solution. But unfortunately we couldn't, and we just had to stick by government guidelines and, well, government guidance. And at least JJ had been practicing for 24 hours and had that time to sort of practice as much as he could. But I'll say it, and I've been saying it to every person since the Mosconi, that absolute credit to Jeremy, because he could have turned around to me and gone, Emily, no, you need to find another way. Jeremy's not that type of person. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have approached him about it in the first place. But to go out there and to, in your mind, know you're not going to be playing on the Mosconi Cup, you're there to coach, and to go out there and go and play one day before the event under the fans that are all European crowd, just his wife that was there, it's just absolutely incredible. I wouldn't have had the balls to do that. So, and to play how he did, I mean, I think it's absolutely fantastic. So out of a very, very unfortunate situation, we got a silver lining, which was JJ coming out and proving why he's a legend.
Yeah, JJ, we certainly appreciated it, and I know Team Europe thought a lot of it too. Before we go on to the days and talk about the matches in general, how was Earl? Because when he came over, I was watching the videos on Matchroom Pool YouTube, he looked in good shape. He looked well.
You asking me or Emily?
Yeah. I was just saying, the videos I watched, he looked good.
No, he looked great. I mean, Earl will remind you how he's working out, and, you know, he gave us a little flash of the no tummy just daily, you know. But, you know, I believe a lot of people don't realize how sincere a person Earl is. You know, he you know, like all of us, he can get off on his tangents and whatnot, but very sincere guy. And when he told me some things daily about how he was ready, he never prepared more, and, you know, his head was very clear. You know, I don't think, you know, I never got the feeling it was for Earl Strickland. You know what I mean? I kind of got the more the feeling it was for the team and for Pool, what he was going to try and do out there that week is what the feeling he gave me. But it was, you know, Earl was super prepared. It was a blow to all of us. I think as the days went along, the guys at first, you know, a couple of young guys weren't around Earl before, right? So at first they were kind of like in shock a little, and then they started to figure him out a little bit, and practice went well. And, you know, they were kind of all leaning towards wanting to play with him in doubles. So that would have been a difficult decision one way or another, but, you know, it would have been a winning decision one way or another also. But yeah, it was a blow losing Earl.
Alex, I was with you guys when you got the news, and you can say, can't you? I mean, you were all disappointed yourselves, weren't you?
Yeah, we were shocked. I mean, you know, we were looking forward to having Earl there in the team, him being the legend of the game, but also him possibly being a catalyst for Team USA. And a couple of us, myself, definitely, I felt like he could be that person. But also for Matchroom, all the effort that was put in it, and even stupid people on social media thinking it was a rig or really stupid things. I mean, I really believe and now and then that he could have meant a lot and have been of big value for Team USA. So we were all shell-shocked for them and for Matchroom and for Earl himself, of course. And let me please take this moment to say that the words that Emily said about Double J go for me as well. It was really inspiring to see Double J step in the way he did and perform the way he did. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure, just finishing up on Earl, Emily won't mind me saying that heading into the press conference, we were all pretty flat, weren't we, Emily, as we all ready to sit down? There's no, we can't deny it, can we? We're all quite flat.
Oh, it was like, and I felt sorry for Team USA because we're kind of like, right, here's your news. But by the way, the press conference is happening, but it shifted a new dynamic on the press conference. It's always been known to be a bit fiery or anything like that, but it just showed a full level of respect amongst all of the people that were present in that room, which was really, really nice to see and to come away from. Both obviously Alex and Jeremy, who are here, and all the players could see that we tried everything, and it was just an unfortunate circumstance. And I mean, you know, Earl left, and it was just really devastating, to be honest, because I was so looking forward to even having him there at the press conference. You know, we had him and Catchy's interview lined up, ready to be like, you know, to try and tease Catchy slightly about the World Pool Masters interview of him not being a great player. We had so many little things here, and it was very, very devastating. And you know, us all going home that night, it was very flat. But the thing is, the show must go on. We must turn it around, and we must try and motivate everyone to think, okay, you know, this has happened, but we have to move forward from it. I've still got high hopes for Earl, you know, and he said to me on the phone, because I was checking in with him every day just to make sure he was okay, isolating. And he said to me, you know, don't count me out, Emily. You know, I want to come back next year. And to kind of echo what Jeremy said, he was training, it seemed as though he was training for the USA team and for the sport of pool. He wants to get back into it. And, you know, he put in a lot of hard work. He came over to the UK. He did all of his media requirements. You know, he will be compensated for coming over. But I think he might be back for the Mosconi Cup next year. So that's going to be exciting.
Well, the show certainly did go on, didn't it? And what a start the USA made, actually going 2 ahead. And it was great for TV. JJ, were you proud of the players, the way they responded to the bad news and to go ahead like they did?
Yeah, you know, we're all lucky to be able to play a sport for a living and a sport we love. But I think, you know, Shane's gone through plenty of different things through his career. I've gone through plenty. Skylar right on that cusp of going through plenty, but it really woke those guys up to professional sports, those younger guys. And like you said, Michael, the show's got to go on. And you know, they were a little hanging their heads low for a second, but didn't really have to say much to them to snap it out of them. You know, them guys knew it was in their hands to win this cup as well. So, you know, I'm pretty proud of them the way they bounced back. And day one was a special day. Could have gone a little more special, of course, but it was a great day.
Alex, 2-0 down. It was time for Shane against Joshua. Joshua had a pretty good week, didn't he? And he just loves playing Shane.
Yeah. Well, that's not a secret. A very good record, Joshua, in the Mosconi Cup, in singles and against Shane. So every time that the lineup comes out and we find the German up against SVP, we're happy. Josh is happy, and he showed that on the table.
Obviously, sorry to interrupt, Michael. It's obviously to Shane's mind about this certain matchup, because he even says it to me. You know, he's come away from the Mosconi Cup, and I know he actually really enjoyed his vice captaincy role. And you know, it's still tough for Shane, because he's spoken before about growing up like feeling isolated, and to bring him into the team environment and someone who's not shown the results that someone like Shane should. He obviously struggles in this format, but he does struggle against Villa, and it's in his head now. He openly says it, which is quite a thing for Team USA.
Jeremy, did you want to pick that up? Was it something in your head seeing that Joshua did seem to have the edge over Shane?
Well, I mean, you got to go with history there. I mean, he's definitely got an edge on him on the record books, but I'm kind of one that believes in that guy, Shane, and if they kept playing in the Mosconi Cup for many years, which I'm sure they will, I think that record will change. It doesn't make me bat an eye near as much as maybe it makes Shane. The one thing about Shane is, we don't know how he thinks exactly, just like another human. I got a pretty good clue, but, he doesn't get beat very often. So when in a big setting, when someone kind of has his number, maybe he draws into that a little much, because if I remember correctly, he had a couple game lead there in that match. And the pressure was definitely on Josh a lot more. And you got to hats off to Josh for coming through for Euros, but I like him playing anybody, and I'm going to keep telling him that, and until that record changes. So, sometimes it takes a little more coaching with him to get that smile, that confident smile from Shane in certain situations. But all you can do is keep trying, because they're going to have to battle again. That's for sure.
It was hard for all the players when it's the team match. You want to get used to the table, so it was hard, and USA adapted to it quicker. It was obviously a tough for you as well. You coming into day one, it was only 24 hours. You were going to play. How did you find playing your first match, which was obviously the last match of the night? But the players saying it was tough. So did you agree with them? Was it tough out there?
Yeah, it was tough. The team match, it took me days to really even remember the rack I played. I commented after day one that I didn't even my shot selection wasn't so precise, it wasn't like overly nervous. It was just kind of like I was in another world kind of like thing. So I had to get a hold of that. That last match, the Euros really took me and Skylar by, put us in handcuffs a lot. I think we only got one open shot at a table, and after a dry break by the Euros, I think it was, I made the one real easy shot, and Skylar had to make a nice shot on the two to move the cue ball, and he rattled it. But I believe that's the only offensive opportunity we had in that last match. But I felt a lot better, if that makes any sense. So, but yeah, the team match to me was just kind of like another world, and it's kind of like what I was thinking for the second match with the doubles on day one. I felt like putting Chris and Tyler out there because I felt like the Euros, as great as they are, they could still be in another world. It'd only be in match number 2 of the Mosconi Cup, getting used to the table and whatnot. So yeah, that first day is tough.
Alex, before we move on to day 2, the players at the end, it felt like a bit of a victory, sort of that recovery from 2 down. Is that how you felt as well?
Yeah, definitely. There was, of course, this mistake by Albin and Eklund together. The innings foul, Eklund playing 2 shots in a row, 4-4. So we really gave away a big point there. And as Double J
maybe
said,
we should talk about that more, Alex. Not to cut you. I'm joking.
and then, like Double J said, when Filler then had to step in, being down to 0 and like turn the momentum, there was a lot of pressure on that match. So there was a big point won by Filler, 2-2 at the end of the day. We felt like we had dodged the bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of those players who did look a bit relieved at the end of the day has actually joined us, Jayson Shaw. Jayson, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing, Bridgie?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, Jace, before we move on to day 2, I mean, it's great to have you on here. We've had a bit of a week now for it all to sink in. How are you feeling? Have you thought much about it? It was a great week.
Yeah, me, I'm still a bit rough, to be honest. Yeah, it's hard, man. After the Mosconi Cup, it's tough to kind of get over it. I think it's going to take about 2 weeks to kind of wind down, and you just think about everything that went on. You know what I mean? You see little clips on social media, and it's tough to get it out of your head. But was incredible 4 days there from both teams, to be honest.
Well, I'll keep you to the next question as well, because as we go on to day 2, it works very well because it was the fans' choice singles. It was Shane versus yourself, and I interviewed you both, and it went better than I thought it would from a journalist point of view. When Shane said he had the edge, and you looked at me and went, "Let's go." So, that was the needle we wanted.
I think the fans' choice is great. It's a good thing, and obviously the last few times I've been picked, so I'm going out there 110%, trying to give the fans what they voted for, and I got it done the last couple of times, and it could have gone any way, but fortunately it went my way, and pretty happy with the outcome.
Yeah, 5-3 win, and to Europe. Then the next match, Skylar beating Albin. It wasn't really Albin's day, but JJ Skylar, he had a pretty good week. He seemed, I mean, I'm not calling him old at all, but he seemed to have that experienced shoulders on him. I mean, were you proud of him after that week?
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that I always preach to Skylar about is improving. He won that match there in day two, but you wouldn't say it was his best match. It wasn't a terrible match by any means. It was a little bit on Albin with a few misses, I thought. But then Skylar, again, he even recognized I need to improve every match and keep moving. And he took more of a leadership role this year. And that started just months ago. It didn't start just right there when we arrived in London. So he's like me, all we discuss is winning the entire year. So when it comes down to decisions about like Earl and stuff like that, we're talking about winning points and trying to win the cup. So Skylar was right on board.
And then we had another youngster in Tyler Steyer beating Joshua Fuller 5-3. That gave America a guaranteed lead at the end of the night going into day 3. And Alex, when you're sitting there as the captain, what were you thinking actually when you were seeing America claim those points?
That we're under it. And, I was a bit shell-shocked seeing everyone is human, but we've seen Albin Ocean play so well in so many events, especially out there in the Matchroom arena, being so successful over the years. So when he was having that difficult day that had his name over it, playing a singles and a doubles match, you're sat there as a coach, calls next to me, and we look at each other. We're trying to not show it, but we're thinking, what is this? So, but it wasn't just maybe Albin underperforming. It was also Team USA bringing the pressure to us. So it was just battle, going to war, Mosconi Cup. This is it. But we were under it on day 2. For sure.
Absolutely. And Emily, from a TV point of view, business and a sporting kind of view, it was kind of refreshing to see in a way, because there were fears that Europe potentially would have run away with it, given the strength of this European side and the players that have been left out. But were you thinking in your head, God, we've got a good last few days now?
Did you not see my face at the end of day 1 and day 2? I was literally beaming like.
Yeah.
When Albin and Catchy went out of turn in that doubles game, I turn around and I laugh, because obviously, and I have to turn around because I can't be seen to be, cheering Team USA on. But I think everyone's very open and knows that obviously all I want is 10-all. I want day 4, 10-all. I don't care if I'm there at midnight, 1 o'clock. I don't care. I want 10-all. And then when it gets to that point, I don't mind who wins. And I like it to be competitive. So if USA are behind by 3 points, I'm cheering them on. And I think a lot of people underestimated Team USA this year, and they always do. And so I feel like if I'm there fighting their corner as well, it's just more support. So it's nothing ever against Team Europe. I just want it to get level at 10-all. But I love it when controversial stuff happens. I just think it also just shows, like Alex has said it quite a few times, we're all human, and everyone out there, despite being, the best pool players in the world, you're bound to make mistakes. And this is what the Mosconi Cup does to people. I mean, talking about, like Jayson saying, it takes 2 weeks to come down from the event. Even for us, it takes that time to just, all that adrenaline is building up to the Mosconi Cup. You have to find time to sit down and relax, and it's just a different world.
Yeah. The next match before we move on to day 3, JJ, did you get the feeling this might have been the turning point with Al-Kaidi and Catchy winning 5-4 against Chris and yourself? I mean, it would have been 6-3, but it went to 5-4 because the Europeans seemed pretty happy at the end of the night, even though you finished the night in front. Did you feel that might be a key result there?
Well, I think winning that match really turns things around. I wasn't too upset about losing the match. We still had a lead. You kind of make little mild predictions for your team that you're pretty satisfied with, and 5-4 after 2 days. And the battling we were doing, I was very happy with. It's a climatic match, huge match to go up to 6-3. But again, day 1, we had some opportunities to lengthen the lead. Day 2, we had a great day 2, but we had some things happen to where we could have maybe had a chance to go up 7-2, really, actually. But that's the way it goes. The one thing for Chris, I felt bad for Chris a little bit because, at 4-1, I had to play a touchy safety and I lost the cue ball and gave up ball in hand. And I always say it, nothing wakes the team up more than ball in hand. So I put the match on me as much as any mistake towards that end of the match. But yeah, if we'd have won that match now, Michael, I think day 3 in the perspective is a little different for the players because it is hard to forget those mistakes that maybe cost you some matches. So.
Yeah, I mean, as you rightly say, you still ended the night in front, but Alex, wide awake until 5 a.m, soul searching, thinking about the first few days with Carl. Alex, did you think there maybe have been a little bit of arrogance in the first few days from the guys? And what happened and what was the talking and what did you say to the guys on that morning?
Well, not arrogance, because all the players are seasoned players in the Mosconi Cup, so they know what it's about. But still, if you don't have this 100% sense of urgency, you're not fully on. So even if you prepare well and if you think you're doing everything right, if there's not this 100% sense that for the need to survive, to give it everything you have, then you might not give it everything you have. So that's what our talk was about, partly, and us being fortunate that Ekland and David the night before fought back from 4-1 down in order to mount the pressure for Team USA to falter on Hill. So we had been lucky. I've said a couple of things, but I think the most important is that Carl and myself left the room and we left the leadership in the room, which was then picked up by the players. And that proved to be a very strong incentive from there. Something clicked.
Well, Jayson, it's great you're here as well. So that's what Alex said. And is that how you felt as well? I mean, you had a phenomenal week anyway, but you seemed pretty driven when I saw you on day 3 as well. How did you feel?
Yeah, I feel at the start of the event, with obviously the news of Earl being out, I think it changed the kind of feeling in the room. I felt like we felt it was going to be easier. That's what we felt like. So I think we took that into the first couple of days, which is wrong, which Alex says you need to be 100%, especially out there under the pressure. So I think after the first couple of days, they had realized and seen what they'd seen in us, thinking, we're just going to go out there, we're going to play good anyway, we're going to win. And that's not the right attitude to have. So I think what they did on day 3, leaving us in the room and kind of having a chat amongst ourselves and kind of getting ourselves fired up and, like everybody having a little saying, like, saying to each other, we know why we're here. We did this multiple times over the years. We need to get into that same mode as we have been when we've won, like, convincingly. So, we all had a little chat together and, we stood up for ourselves and counted ourselves as one team instead of trying to just go out there and, think that you're going to win this match and you're going to win that match. It doesn't go like that. So we all had a little say. we pumped ourselves up, and I think that changed the dynamic of day 3 going in there anyway, because when we got to the practice room the few days before that, there wasn't that same vibe in there. It was more like I could see everybody wanted it. Not that we didn't want it the first couple of days, but there seemed to be more drive. There seemed to be more focus, more as a team practicing together instead of one being over there and messing around with someone else's gear or doing just silly things. So we focused more. We played more as a team instead of just thinking, well, we're going to go out there and win. So it was important.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. I mean, look, it was a great day for Europe on day 3, and you did exactly what Alex wanted, I'm sure. And taking the session 5-0, one of the best racks in Mosconi history with David and yourself, Jeremy. Look, we all know what happened. It was such an intense safety battle between the two of you with the 1 pocket and the 3 cushion. But obviously the error from yourself, but it was just one of those things, wasn't it? And I hope you're not dwelling on it now still, JJ.
No, I actually got rid of that evening in a sense. You know, if I made a bunch of stupid mistakes through my career like that, maybe I wouldn't be able to let it go so much. But it was like, you know, I tell my wife we're in the Matrix. I never get the cue ball clean my whole career, like once or twice maybe. I'm hitting a super soft spin. I never looked at the cue ball before I got down on the ball, and then there's a huge chunk of David's chalk right where I'm hitting the ball with soft spin. If I'm hitting the ball firm, Michael, I don't even care about the chalk. But you know, you're not a pool player, of course, but you have something soft coming across the cue ball. That's when the tip can just slide right off of it. So I knew the rule, obviously, at that moment. I thought the rule was otherwise. And it just unfortunate. You know, the one thing I still haven't lost is I sure wanted to shoot that 6 ball to see if I would have made it with the soft spin underneath the pressure. But yeah, I mean, I was happy the way I played though. Overall, I thought it was inspirational for the guys, even though we needed a W right then more than anything. But yeah, I guess it's something I'll never forget.
well, Emily, I mean, go back into your social media again. You know, you were inundated, weren't you, with comments, but also positive comments about how much everyone felt for JJ and what, you know, it was a great game anyway, and it was like a game of chess, really, wasn't it? But the comments were flooding on your social media straight after that again, weren't they?
It's just wild, the stuff that gets said. But I mean, look, I just switch all of that off when we're in the middle of the tournament because it doesn't do anyone any good. Look, but we come away from one of the greatest matches I've ever watched in the Mosconi Cup, and it was exciting. It had people at home on the edge of their seat, and this is not just your hardcore pool fans who were all on the edge of their seat. This is sports fans who are tuned into Sky Sports, and they're seeing this. And all of the next morning, you've got Sky Sports News running it across, you know, Mosconi Cup blunder, captain blunder. And it's brilliant to see that come through, because for the first time ever, you know, Mosconi Cup sort of trending on the Sky Sports News app, which is a real big positive for the event. And okay, JJ and Team USA have suffered from it, but JJ, I'll be buying your drinks for the rest of the time that I know you, because we come away from a really big story, and it was a huge controversial moment. Credit to Marcel, the referee, who out there, I mean, I've never seen a ball cleaned so quickly in my life. We had a chat about it afterwards. You know, we're not going to change the rule there and then. And we've said, you know, in events like this, the Mosconi Cup, it's not our aim to catch any players out and to have moments like that happen. So a reminder of how much time is left. I mean, you guys know there's shot clocks are everywhere in that arena. But I mean, I saw some things about changing the rules so there's no shot clock in the final rack. That is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Why would you start the event and have everything on the Matchroom events based on a shot clock, and then just decide, oh, it gets hill, it's more pressure, so let's take away the shot clock? That it makes zero sense. Yes, there's more pressure on. Yes, it's hill. Absolutely brilliant. This is what we're all living for. We're living for that pressure, and we're living for that quick thinking. Yeah, okay, I'm not out there and I'm not the one under pressure making the shots, but it makes for beautiful TV. And this is what we're trying to do. We're commercializing this sport. We're commercializing this game. And the shot clock is the base of the Matchroom events. You know, that's what it is. It's key. And Jeremy, you'll never do that again. And, you know, it's similar. It's like calling push out. John Lehman knows full well that Skylar Woodward is going to push out. He knows full well. The referee knows, but he's not stated it. So it's all part of the rules. It created something quite special online and in the viewing. But I just think it's got 9 ball on the map, and that's great. And like I said, I owe you a lot of beer, Jeremy.
Yeah, well, I thought I've just seen it all, but I feel like I've done it all now. So there you go.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest memory for me, JJ, it was a really great match with you and Al-Kaidi, and I think Al-Kaidi, being the gentleman that he is, the way he took that victory at the end said a lot about him as well. So a Paul master and a master of a bloke as well. Obviously, it left Europe in a very good position. Alex, what was the message to Jayson and the guys? Let's get this done early. Let's finish it up on the Friday.
Yeah, but mainly let's keep doing what we've agreed to do better today on day 3. It works, and let's not get ahead of ourselves. Same thing tomorrow. We'll get there on this time. We'll do the same preparation. Just stick to the process and do it with intent. So not get ahead of yourself, playing one shot at a time, but of course trying to finish early as quick as we could. But being clinical, that was the key message.
Yeah, and JJ, you certainly didn't lie down on the final day, did you? Were you pleased with the players' reaction? It was quite a comprehensive lead Europe had all of a sudden, but you guys still gave it a good go, didn't you, on day 4?
Yeah, I mean, it's, after 14 matches in 3 days, it's hard to be 7-7. I mean, that's just how pool and most sports go. Hard to be 8-6, 9-5, just one of those options you have to deal with, whether you're winning or losing. So I liked our lineups a lot. Once I saw Europe's lineup, I was very much hoping they came out with something like that, very heavy up front. They kept Albin for the end, which I don't think I've ever played Albin. I was certainly hoping to get to play that match, but I liked our lineups. I thought, with the doubles, if we came out and snagged that one with our stellar team there with Skylar and Shane, felt like Skylar would be in a great spot playing that first singles. Did feel like Filler might match up with Shane, but I mean, it's just the bridge we got to cross to win these cups. And then from there, if we win 2 out of those first 3, if we get fortunate enough to win the first 3, we get a lot of pressure put on Kachi and David, where Kachi had struggled a few times, and David had played great, but that last rack with me, I thought he may make a mistake if there's some pressure there, and he did. So I thought maybe if we get those first 2 out of 3 or 3 matches, we could have ourselves a real ball game here coming in this cup. It didn't work out that way, but I thought me and the assistant captain Shane and can't lie, Skylar, we discussed lineups a lot. I thought we put ourselves in a great position. It just the Euros played a little better than we did.
Yeah, day 4 ended with 11-6 and Filler winning it, but the MVP was yourself, Jayson. Just assess your performance overall, because once again, you come to the table and you deliver in these big events.
Yeah, I think over the last 3 years, I've really came into my own in the Mosconi Cup. The first few times, no matter what player you are or how many events you've won, the Mosconi Cup can catch you out very quickly, no matter how good a player you are. So I think the first few times it's great, because you're not used to that environment. So the more you play, the more you learn. And like I said, I think the last 3 years I learned a lot about the team, the event, and myself also. So now when I go in there, I kind of know how to handle myself a little bit better, without getting too amped up and complacent. I think I can now juggle, getting involved with fans a little bit, but still playing my A game. And I think in the practice room, I bring a lot to the team. I think our team is very, it's spread out with a lot of players of different qualities. There's a lot of quiet players that keep themselves to themselves. At certain terms like Catchy, Albin, they're very low-key players. They don't have that big, energy behind them. They kind of just stay their own level through the full tournament. Then you've got me and Filler, just two, crazy guys. So in the back room, it's we kind of keep the spirit going, and while they're kind of trying to chill out. So there's definitely a good balance there, having us two in the team. And I think the last couple of years, I definitely come into my own, and I can handle those situations way better than before.
Alex, yes, go on, Em. Go on, Em, yeah.
Jayson, I've just noticed that you've matured a lot within the Mosconi Cup. And as everyone was heading out to the matches, you were the leader of the motivation throughout the other players. I don't know why I noticed it this year. I don't know if it's because it was this year. It just felt that you were kind of not carrying is the wrong word, because everyone was sort of each to their own sort of thing and could get through the event. But it just felt like you were the team motivator. Do you think that something like a playing vice captain role, like what Shane had for this year, is something that you would look at?
Yeah, I think now with my
have a heart attack,
my kind of experience, and I feel like I bring a lot to the team. I feel like the vice captain thing is obviously another big role that you would have to play. But for me, it was more about just getting the players to realize that, we're there to do a job. Let's stick as a team. Let's go out there and fight for every ball, every point. Don't take it easy. Like I said, the first couple of days, we kind of weren't doing that. And I kind of, the third day when Alex pulled us all and left us in the room, nobody was saying anything. So I kind of stood up and took charge, and I was like, let's go. So I started asking the players, what do you have to say? What do you have to say? And I think from there, I think the players obviously know I have a lot of energy. So they were just trying to feed off of what I was doing. And I was trying to push and make them feel like I was always telling them, look, you're the best. You've done this all year. Let's go. Don't think of anything negative. Go out there, do what you have to do. You're the best. I just kept telling them, you're the best. You're the best. You're the best. And that there gave them a little bit extra incentive to keep going. And I just tried to motivate them as much as possible, because it's so tough out there you could miss a couple of balls, and all of a sudden from playing like there, you go down very quickly. And with that crowd on top of you too, it's tough. I've played 6 now, and I'll say that this year was the best Mosconi I've ever played. The atmosphere on day 3 was unbelievable. I'm having dreams about this. Every night I wake up and I'm like, I can hear songs coming out of my ears. It's just incredible. I really had the best feelings from the ever had.
Can I say one thing about Jayson Shaw's leadership?
Mm.
When I started 2 years ago, so I talked with a couple of people around Jayson, with Carl, and I really felt like Jayson has that character to be a leader in the team, but you can never tell someone to be the leader. You cannot give someone that role. So last year it was building, mostly the biggest platform, because he was coming into his own as a player. And then this year he took it. So that's why I think Team Europe can be very happy with him now, because now there is a leader in the team, and everyone will show leadership skills. But like in the past, maybe someone like Darren Appleton had a very strong presence in the team, really being a backbone. And this now has been taken on by Jayson. So it was just his time. He grew into it.
Mm. I mean, Alex, that's interesting as well, because there's so much talent this year in Europe. We've seen, haven't we? At Kazakis, Fedor, Max Lechner. So, you could have had a Europe B and C team. But what I'm kind of hearing, what you and Jeremy have to do, you not only have to pick good players, you have to pick good team players. Is that the difficulty sometimes, Jeremy?
Well, yeah. And, one thing I'd like to get straight real quick before answering that is people talk about we need to go to North America as a whole. And I mean, I love Canada, I love Mexico and all that, but and I love Bugs Bunny. He said, if you can't beat them, join them, kind of thing. But I'd have to say we got to throw that aside. I think there's plenty of talent here in America. We just got to get it corralled correctly. But yeah, we have to. You have to pick a good team, of course. And the one thing is I think the resume's got to be way up there for a player to get picked if they're going to be kind of a bad seed for the rest of those other four. I mean, Matchroom set it up a little different this year with the curriculum. I think it helped Team USA a little bit, to be honest. But so you can have one player play a lot, but you still have to have those other four guys. So if there's a guy that I just knew was going to be absolutely awful for the team, and I think Earl would have been great for the team. Actually, he was doing a great job as a team member, but it would take a resume like a Earl Strickland or a Shane or a Tiger Woods or something like that to really even be considered if you're looking at a bad seed. So yeah, it's all about that gelling.
And Jayson, before you leave the call, for people already looking forward to the 2022 Mosconi Cup, you are an American resident. Tell the listeners how good it's going to be next year.
Yeah, I think obviously in 2019 in Vegas, it was probably the loudest American fans I've ever heard. They came out in the numbers, they supported, they did what they had to do. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, why is it like this? Has never been like this. But this is the way it should always be. If your team's playing, get behind them no matter what. If they're struggling, still get behind them. There's no point in putting them down. You're there to support them, I feel like you're in it as one, so stay as one all the way through the cup. There's no point in getting behind your team if they're getting down on your team. If they're behind a couple of games, it doesn't work. It's only bad vibes going forward. So I think this year, our fans were unbelievable and they were loud. So I would advise all American fans to get out in numbers next year. Go support your team in Vegas. Get there, cheer them on, win, losing, whatever. Get behind them. They need your support. And that's the only way it's going to grow. So I would advise you to get your tickets, get to Vegas. You're American, Europe, whatever it is, get behind your team, support them. We need your support. And the event's only good when the fans are there. So cheers, guys. It's all about.
Jayson, fantastic. Brilliant. Great to see you. Emily, you want to add something to that before Jayson leaves?
I think it's it's scary to think that there were only 1,300 fans at the Mosconi Cup this December. It was literally 1,300 on that Thursday. And I'm so glad we didn't have a sixth match on our hands, because I don't think the crowd would have been able to take it. I think we would have been chucking people out left, right and centre.
And that bloody extension they screaming.
I go in my head every night. But it's just, the Mosconi's grown to just a different beast now. And I know that there's a balance. There is a balance we have to find between, keeping it professional, but also people going for a good time. But the Mosconi is growing to something that no other pool event has ever got to. And we have to cross that line sometimes where we have to get into this casual sports fan. People go to the Mosconi to go and have a good time. You tune into the World Darts Championship at the moment, and there is just people there to have a good time. Some of them aren't even looking at the darts board. I'm not saying why.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But there's 3,500 seats in there. And they've got, how many days is it, Michael, total?
Yeah, it's about 16, 17. I mean, it's mostly double sessions. So it's all day. Yeah.
Double sessions at 3,500 seats, all sold out. Like, that is mad. Could you imagine us having the Mosconi Cup and being able to look between a 3,000 and 4,000 seated arena and having that full out for all 4 days? We're only going to be able to do that if we encourage the dancing, and the DJ in between the racks was absolutely fantastic. I personally love it. And I think if you're sitting in your seat, you need some motivation. That music coming in is going to drown out any, silly comments or anything like that. Yes, there must be a balance between when players are down on a shot, but we must always remember we've got to move the Mosconi to something different. And that's our job to do that. And in 3 years' time, when you guys are looking at it and you've got 3,500 people a session, and, that's tripled as to what we had in December. I mean, the plans I'm looking at for 2022 in Vegas, I'm looking at like 2,500, because the Americans are gonna come on board. I know they are. This is the best response we've ever received from the American fans following a Mosconi. There's so much interest that signed up to our pool club for ticket alerts. It's going to be incredible. The ticket packages we're looking at, we just want to keep evolving the Mosconi. And I'm not saying that the World Pool Masters has to be like that, or the World Championship, but maybe the Mosconi is a different beast, and maybe the Reyes Cup is a different beast that comes along with that. Is it USA versus Europe, and then the winner of that take on Asia? They're the two different scales of the events, but we must keep driving that fun and the excitement, because it's what gets us all pumped and the adrenaline just firing. It's just, I love the Mosconi Cup.
Well, we're reaching the end of the podcast, but we've got some really important things to discuss just before we finish. So, Jayson, if you've got time, if you stay on with us, to the Mosconi Cup confirmation, it's heading back stateside to Bally's Hotel and Casino from November the 30th to December the 3rd. So if you get a diary on Christmas Day, one of those boring diaries you get from your auntie or someone, it's not a boring present anymore. You got to whack some dates in this time. And tickets will go on priority sale to Matchroom Pool Club subscribers on Wednesday, February the 9th. That's another date for your diary, with general sale tickets to go on sale the following day, Thursday, February the 10th. So sign up to the Matchroom Pool Club for free at matchroompool.com to get exclusive pre-sale ticket access for 2022. A reminder, that's for free. So, Emily, we've discussed Mosconi Cup 2022. I mean, it's so exciting. We've got these two captains on the line. JJ, are you going to spend the next few months thinking about that already?
Yeah, I honestly think about it all the time. I'm a team guy and I love my American players. So, and nothing against Europe, know all those guys really well, but, I want to win. I want to beat their, whats. And, there's, like I said before, there's plenty of talent here in America to do it. I think the guys see that. It's just all about fighting. So we're going to come with gloves on, no matter who the team is.
And Alex, I've spoken to a couple of players who weren't selected, and I spoke to a couple of men in America for the US Open, and they talked about getting in the Mosconi Cup, and they said to me, Michael, I don't think I've done enough this time around. That's the kind of drive we want to hear when we've got all our Matchroom events coming up next year. So for you, even if you're with me in the presenters area at the World Championship or the World Pool Masters, you're going to be scouting, aren't you, for the next 12 months?
Yeah, and also looking forward to sit down with Matchroom and determine what sort of structure we can put in place for qualification for the next Mosconi Cup, because this is promised to the players, and I think this is important to have 3 players qualifying through the rankings. So that's one. And also, as Jayson said, how noisy and rowdy the American audience was in 2019. Now, having read all the comments online from American fans, we can expect it to go beyond that come 2022, the next Mosconi Cup. So I would love to be part of the journey to prepare the team for that, and I really hope the US fans and Team USA are gonna bring it to us, and we're gonna have a nice fight.
Absolutely. Well, Emily, you can finish then. That's perfect in terms of the schedule. And I know you're really excited over the next few weeks about plenty you want to reveal.
Yeah, we were initially looking for this week, but COVID hasn't really helped. But I mean, look, we're going to start off the new year with some very, very exciting news. I think one of our main things that we need to focus on is structure for the Mosconi Cup, and that's for both Team USA and Team Europe. That is something that we're extremely focused on, and we will be putting it in place. It's not confirmed for the team captaincies for next year, but that's something that I think both these people that are on this podcast, Jeremy and Alex, must be involved in the Mosconi Cup next year. How? I'm not sure, but we all need to have that discussion. There's no sort of time to waste on it for us. We want to get the Mosconi Cup, drawn up and ready at the beginning of the year, so captains can prepare their team and know what's going to happen. And most importantly, the main question on every pool player's lips is, how do I make the Mosconi Cup team? That's all going to be answered. Secondly, we're going to be having the UK Open entries going to open in the new year, and our full schedule of events will be released as well. So, look, I think there's really big, exciting news coming up. We're busy. We're working away with what we can be doing. I'm excited to see how Team USA develops, because, like what Jeremy said, there's talent in Team USA. It's not about bringing in anyone else from other continents or countries or whatever. There is the talent there, but there needs to be structure. And I think having the task of Team USA is the toughest one of them all, because they've never had that structure. So we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. So just stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned indeed on all our social platforms at Matchroom Pool and all the players. JJ, Jayson, Alex, anything else you want to add after what's been a fantastic week?
Yeah, I'd like to just first off, good health to both of y'all. Hopefully everything goes smoothly at home. And thanks to Matchroom and, of course, all the American fans. No time for the negative is the policy. So just stay positive. USA's coming.
Love it. Alex?
No, nice words. Yeah, thanks to Matchroom for putting this on. But mostly thanks to all the fans for being into it so much. And it's something everyone looks forward to every year. Best wishes to all. Be well, be safe.
Thank you, Alex. And Jayson, Mr. MVP, do you want to sign us off? You deserve it, mate. You deserve it.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to Matchroom. You do the best as always, and without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So hats off to you. And I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and one more time, extension.
Extension!
Happy holidays.
Happy
holidays,
Merry Christmas.
Jeremy.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you. And thank you for listening today. What's been a very special 2021 Mosconi Cup special. That is the 21 Mosconi Cup done and dusted. We can already look forward to 2022. Look after yourselves. Have a wonderful Christmas, and we'll be back very soon.